Hollywood has always been seen as a place full of beauty, fame, and success. Bright lights, red carpets, and famous stars often make it look like a perfect world where everyone is happy. But behind this shining image, many actors and actresses lived very different lives. Their personal stories were often full of struggle, loneliness, and emotional pain that the public never saw. One such star was Margaret Sullivan, a talented performer from the classic Hollywood era. She was admired for her strong acting skills and natural screen presence, and she quickly became one of the respected names in early American cinema. However, her life off-screen was not as smooth as her career on-screen. According to later accounts shared by her family, especially her daughter, there were many emotional battles and hidden truths that shaped her journey in ways the audience never understood. The daughter's reflections revealed a more personal side of Sullivan, showing her not just as a famous actress, but also as a mother, wife, and a woman dealing with deep emotional struggles. These stories bring a new understanding of what it really meant to live under constant public attention during Hollywood's early golden years. While fans saw glamour and success, the reality was often filled with pressure, difficult relationships, and personal sacrifice. This article explores her life from childhood to fame, and finally to her emotional struggles later in life. It also highlights how her daughter later described her feelings about growing up in a household shaped by fame, stress, and complicated relationships. By looking deeper into her life, we can understand that fame often comes with a hidden cost. The story of Margaret Sullivan is not only about success in films, but also about emotional strength, personal challenges, and a human side of Hollywood legend that the world rarely saw. The early life of Margaret Sullivan was not easy. She was born in 1909 in Virginia into a family that cared deeply about social status and reputation. From a young age, she faced health problems that made her childhood more difficult than most children around her. She suffered from a weakness in her legs, which made walking hard and limited her ability to play freely with other kids. Because of this condition, she spent much of her early years in isolation. While other children enjoyed school and outdoor games, she often stayed at home, watching life from a distance. This early loneliness had a strong impact on her personality and made her more thoughtful and independent as she grew older. Her parents were wealthy and focused on maintaining a respectable image in society. They believed their daughter should behave in a proper and controlled way, mixing only with children from similar social backgrounds. However, Sullivan showed signs of independence even as a child. As her health improved, she became more active and developed a strong personality. She was curious about the world beyond her controlled environment and often spent time with children from different backgrounds, which her parents did not approve of. This created tension at home, as they wanted her to follow a strict and traditional path. Despite this pressure, she grew into a determined young woman who was not afraid to make her own choices. This early conflict between personal freedom and family expectations shaped much of her later life. It gave her both strength and rebellion, qualities that would later help her survive in the demanding world of acting. The daughter later shared that her mother often spoke about her childhood as a time of both pain and growth, where she learned to stand on her own even when she felt alone. These early experiences became the foundation of her strong but complicated personality. As Margaret Sullivan grew older, she decided to follow her passion for performing arts, even though her family did not support this idea. In the late 1920s, she left home to study drama and dance, hoping to build a future in theater. This decision caused conflict with her parents, who believed acting was not a respectable profession. They reduced her financial support, forcing her to become independent at a young age. Despite these challenges, she worked small jobs to support herself while continuing her training. Her determination soon paid off when she started performing in theater productions. During this time, she met many young actors who were also trying to build their careers. One of the most important early moments in her life came when she worked alongside Henry Fonda in a stage production. Their interaction was remembered as energetic and intense, and it marked the beginning of her connection with future Hollywood stars. She also became part of a close group that included James Stewart, who later became one of Hollywood's biggest names. At the time, they were all struggling young performers, sharing dreams of success and survival in the entertainment world. Stewart was known for his shy and gentle personality, and he developed feelings for Sullivan. However, She was unsure about entering a relationship with him and eventually turned down his feelings. Instead, her connection with Henry Fonda became stronger, leading to a brief and intense romance. This relationship eventually resulted in marriage, but it was short-lived due to personality differences. These early relationships played an important role in shaping her emotional life. They showed how closely her personal and professional worlds were connected. Her daughter later reflected that her mother's early adulthood was filled with strong emotions, fast decisions, and relationships that deeply influenced her future choices. The marriage between Margaret Sullivan and Henry Fonda was short but intense. Both were young, ambitious, and strong-willed, which made their relationship passionate but unstable. While there was attraction between them, their personalities often clashed in daily life. Fonda was quiet and reserved, while Sullivan was outspoken and emotionally expressive. These differences created tension almost immediately after their marriage. Within a very short time, their relationship began to break down, and they separated not long after marrying. This early breakup marked a painful moment in Sullivan's personal life, but also pushed her to focus more on her career. Around the same period, she began receiving opportunities in Hollywood. Directors noticed her talent and screen presence, and she was soon offered film contracts. One important figure who supported her career was director John M. Stahl, who helped bring her into the film industry. Although she was hesitant at first, she eventually accepted a multi-film deal that allowed her to continue acting while maintaining some independence. When she arrived in Hollywood, she quickly gained attention for her natural style. Unlike many actresses of her time, she did not fully embrace the glamorous lifestyle expected by studios. She preferred simple clothing, avoided excessive makeup, and often behaved in a very natural and direct way. This made her stand out, but also created conflict with studio expectations. Still, her authenticity helped her gain respect in the industry. She was seen as someone who could not be easily controlled by studio systems, which made her both admired and feared. This period marked the beginning of her rise as a serious actress in Hollywood. As Margaret Sullivan became more successful, her career in Hollywood grew rapidly. She started working on important films and gained recognition for her emotional acting style. However, her strong personality often led to conflicts with directors and studio executives. One well-known example involved director Sam Wood, where disagreements on set reportedly became very intense. Sullivan was known to strongly defend her opinions, especially when she believed something was unfair or incorrect in a script or performance. These conflicts added to her reputation as a fearless and outspoken actress. In Hollywood, where many actors followed strict studio rules, her behavior was unusual and sometimes controversial. Despite this, she continued to succeed because of her talent and strong screen presence. She worked on several successful films and earned praise from critics for her natural acting ability. However, the pressure of fame and constant professional tension also affected her emotional well-being. The fast-paced Hollywood environment demanded perfection, long working hours, and strict control over actors' public images. Sullivan often resisted these demands, choosing to remain true to herself instead of following studio expectations. This made her career both successful and stressful at the same time. Her daughter later explained that her mother often carried emotional stress from her work life into her home life, which affected family relationships. Even though she appeared strong on screen, she was dealing with internal pressure that few people understood at the time. After her first marriage ended, Margaret Sullivan later married director William Wyler. Their relationship began during professional collaboration, where they often argued about creative decisions. Interestingly, their disagreements eventually turned into attraction, leading to marriage. However, like her first marriage, this relationship also faced difficulties. Both were strong personalities, and emotional tension often affected their personal life. During this period, Sullivan also maintained a close connection with James Stewart, whom she had known since her early theater days. Stewart had become a rising Hollywood star, and Sullivan played an important role in encouraging his career. She believed in his talent and helped him improve his acting style by giving him advice and support during early film projects. Some historians believe that their relationship had deep emotional layers, though it remained mostly professional and supportive. However, Sullivan's close friendship with Stewart sometimes created tension in her marriage with Wyler, as rumors and misunderstandings developed in Hollywood circles. Eventually, her marriage with Wyler ended in divorce. This period showed how her personal and professional lives were deeply connected, often influencing each other in complicated ways. Her daughter later shared that her mother's relationships were shaped by both love and ambition, making her life emotionally complex but deeply human. Later, Margaret Sullivan married talent agent Leland Hayward. At first, this marriage seemed more stable than her previous relationships. The couple had children together, and for a short time, life appeared peaceful. Sullivan tried to focus on family life, balancing motherhood with her acting career. However, problems soon appeared in the marriage. Reports of infidelity and emotional distance created serious tension between the couple. One of the most painful moments in her life came when she discovered her husband's involvement with socialite Slim Keith. This betrayal deeply affected her and led to divorce. After the separation, family life became complicated, especially for the children, who moved between two households. According to later family accounts, this arrangement created emotional confusion and instability for them. Sullivan tried her best to maintain a stable home environment, but the emotional impact of divorce and separation affected everyone involved. This period marked one of the most difficult phases of her personal life, as she struggled to balance career pressure, emotional pain, and motherhood at the same time. The later years of Margaret Sullivan were marked by emotional struggles and family challenges. At one point, her children made the difficult decision to live primarily with their father, which caused her deep emotional pain. According to her daughter's reflections, this moment had a powerful impact on her mother's mental health. She experienced emotional breakdowns and periods of intense sadness, showing how deeply she cared for her children. These private moments revealed a side of her that the public never saw. While she was known as a strong and confident actress, she was also a deeply emotional and sensitive person in her personal life. Her daughter later described her as a loving but often overwhelmed mother who tried hard to hold everything together. Despite these struggles, Sullivan's legacy remains strong in Hollywood history. She is remembered not only for her acting talent, but also for her determination to live life on her own terms, even when it was difficult. Her story reflects a hidden reality behind fame, showing that success often comes with emotional sacrifice. Today, her life is seen as a reminder that even the brightest stars can face personal struggles behind the scenes. After years of success in Hollywood, Margaret Sullivan slowly began to step away from the center of the film industry. While she was still respected for her earlier work, the fast-changing world of cinema started moving in new directions, and many classic stars of her era found it difficult to stay in the spotlight. For Sullivan, this transition was not just professional, but also deeply personal. She had already experienced multiple emotional challenges in her marriages and family life, and the pressure of maintaining a public image had taken a toll on her. As she grew older, she preferred a quieter life away from constant media attention. However, the emotional impact of her past did not disappear easily. According to her daughter's reflections, Sullivan often carried memories of both happiness and pain from her earlier years, and these memories shaped the way she lived her later life. Even in moments of calm, she sometimes reflected on her relationships, her children, and the difficult choices she had made along the way. She was not someone who easily forgot emotional experiences, and this made her later years more thoughtful and sometimes heavy. Still, she remained a strong presence in her family's life, even if she was no longer in the public spotlight. Her story shows that life after fame is not always peaceful, especially for someone who lived through intense emotional and professional experiences. While Hollywood remembered her as a talented actress, her family remembered her as a complex woman who tried to balance ambition, love, and motherhood in a world that rarely allows perfect balance. Her later years were quieter, but they were still deeply shaped by everything she had experienced earlier in life. The legacy of Margaret Sullivan continues to be remembered in two different ways. One is a public image of a strong and talented Hollywood actress, and the other is the private image shared by her family, especially her daughter. While audiences admired her performances on screen, her daughter's reflections revealed a more personal and emotional side of her life. According to these accounts, Sullivan was a woman who deeply cared about her family, but often struggled with the emotional weight of her experiences. She was loving, passionate, and strong-minded, but also vulnerable in ways that were not visible to the outside world. Her daughter's perspective helps complete the picture of who she really was beyond fame. It shows that behind the success and recognition, there was a human being who faced heartbreak, difficult relationships, and emotional challenges like many others. This duality is what makes her story so powerful even today. It is not just a story of Hollywood success, but also a story of personal strength and emotional endurance. Her life reminds us that fame does not protect anyone from pain, and that even the most admired figures often carry silent struggles. In the end, her legacy is not only about the films she made, but also about the life she lived behind the camera. She remains a symbol of early Hollywood's golden era, but also a reminder of the emotional cost that sometimes comes with it. Through her daughter's voice, we understand that she was not just a star on screen, but a real person who lived, loved, suffered, and tried her best to navigate a complicated world. That is why her story continues to interest people even today. It is both inspiring and deeply human. When we look back at the life of Margaret Sullivan, it becomes clear that her story is not only about fame, success, or Hollywood history. It is also about a real human life filled with emotions, difficult